her mother when she was 14. She was in SS1 and the session would soon round off. She was an only child of a single mother. Her mother died suddenly of a heart attack. Maureen wept bitterly. After the burial, her big mom, her mom's elder sister, decided to take her in, though she and her mother were never really on good terms before her death, but they weren't enemies either. Big Mom, as she was fondly called, was a rich woman. She had two big fabric shops in the heart of Lagos. Her two daughters had their masters abroad and they were working with multinational companies. Her neighbors considered that a huge achievement and commended her for doing a good job at raising them. She took Maureen with her and she started living with her. Big Mom ensured she was comfortable. She would go to her room to comfort her whenever she was all by herself. Big Mom had a maid who also cooperated to make the house a safe haven for her. Few months later, Big Mom discovered that Maureen had a very lazy lifestyle. She wouldn't pack her plates when she finished eating, she wouldn't wash her clothes, she would wait for the maid to do all that. At first, Big Mom thought it was because she was mourning and excused her, but 2 months were enough for her to confirm she was lazy. Big Mom would have none of that. She doesn't raise mediocres. Her children used to come top of their class and had poise, confidence and oratory prowess. They represented their schools. She herself became wealthy due to her disciplined lifestyle. She started figuring out how to mold her. Oblivious of the kind of person Big Mom really was, Maureen came back from school one day, found Big Mom in the living room, and started telling her about her day. She mentioned excitedly how she was able to evade being the chief speaker of her group's presentation. She explained, much to Big Mom's disgust, that she gave them a very credible excuse to avoid it. Big Mom said nothing. Maureen finished talking and went into her room. The next day, Maureen was called into her class teacher's office. To her surprise, she found Big Mom there. Her teacher asked her if it was true that the excuse she gave that made her evade being the speaker for her group was true. Maureen, sensing that Big Mom had spilled her secret, bowed her head and said yes. Her teacher was disappointed. Big Mom instructed that she wanted her to be involved in every speaking activity that involved her class. She exchanged numbers with her and told the class teacher to let her know whenever Maureen doesn't cooperate. Maureen looked at Big Mom in shock as she left the office. Some days later, the maid finished cooking plantain at home. When she came to announce to Big Mom and Maureen, Maureen said she wanted noodles instead and wanted the maid to go cook it for her. Big Mom called back the maid and told Maureen to go and cook it. Maureen was gobsmacked. She didn't expect that. She replied that she was no longer hungry. Big Mom told her to cook noodles for them as she was in the mood to eat noodles. Seeing the stern look on her face, Maureen went to the kitchen, cooked and came back with a plate of terribly made noodles. Big Mom stared at the food and stared back with shock at her. She asked her why she couldn't cook something as simple as noodles. Maureen stuttered. She said her mom never let her step into the kitchen, and also she has plans to employ a maid when she owns her own apartment. Big Mom shook her head, taught her some lesson. She said cooking is a life skill that one needs to know. You will not always have a maid with you. Maids come and go. They get sick, they go on vacations too. You should be able to cook something for yourself and family, Big Mom said. She called the maid and instructed that every evening she must see Maureen in the kitchen with her. Maureen wasn't happy with the new development. She told her friends in school what she was going through, and her friends concluded that Big Mom was maltreating her. Meanwhile, her class teacher heed Big Mom's instructions and ensured Maureen partook in every speaking competition that involved the class. Soon, Big Mom started reserving some women in power motivational books for her. On weekends, she would make her read it, and she must do a PowerPoint presentation to explain the lesson's length. They had the gadgets at home. Big Mom, the maid, and the gatekeeper would be the audience. The first time, Maureen pretended to forget. She gave a silly excuse as usual. Big Mom grounded her financially for 1 week. She would be giving breakfast at home, and that was it. No extra income. Maureen didn't like it, as she liked buying a lot of chops during school hours. She looked forward eagerly to the next weekend and ensured she got ready her presentation. On Sunday night, she did the presentation. Big Mom assessed the presentation as average and told her she wanted a better performance the next week. Months after, she became a pro at public speaking. Also, her cooking skills had improved. One day, in the middle of the night, she ran to Big Mom's room because she had a nightmare. She held Big Mom on the bed and was breathing heavily. Big Mom calmed her down and led her to pray. After the prayer, Maureen said she would sleep in Big Mom's room. She allowed her. This happened for 3 nights. On the 3rd night, Big Mom sent her back to her room. She gave her scriptures and prayer points to help her. She told her to learn to face her demons and not run from them. Left with no choice, Maureen went back to her room. One day, Big Mom came into the living room. She found Maureen looking at herself in the mirror. She was touching a scar on her face, and she had an unpleasant look on her face. It was a birthmark which she couldn't remove. She didn't like it. Big Mom asked her questions on why she didn't like it, and she gave childish answers. Big Mom engaged her in a lengthy talk that taught her why she should see herself as beautiful. She gave her positive affirmations that included "I am beautiful." She made her say it 7 times and asked her to promise she would say it every day. 10 years later, Maureen was a guest speaker at a Mother's Day conference in Washington. As the youngest female CEO of a multinational company in that district, she was invited to grace their podium as a speaker. She talked about the creative power of motherhood and how her auntie, Big Mom, made a star out of her. Despite the average lifestyle she lived for the first 14 years of her life, she mentioned how the lessons she taught her molded her into the role model she was that day. After some minutes, she shed some tears at the remembrance of the fact that Big Mom was dead. She called to the podium one of Big Mom's sisters, her cousin, who was in the event. They broke into a tight hug on the stage. In the audience, a man whispered to his neighbor and said, "Truly, the woman raised queens."